like to call the January 19th, 2023 Lacey Township School Board to order. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting was advertised in the Asbury Park Press and the Beacon on January 12, 2023, and by posting the notice in the Forked River and Lenoka Harbor post offices, and by filing a copy of the notice with the Lacey Township Clerk as required by the Open Public Meeting Act. Could I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Armato?
Here.
Mr. Conity?
Here.
Mr. Armato?
Here.
Mrs. Claus?
Here.
Mr. Polino?
Here.
Mr. Peters?
Present.
And Mrs. Downing.
Present.
Okay, we're going to go into executive session. Be it resolved that an executive session be convened for the purpose of discussing confidential student matters, including but not limited to HIBs, confidential legal matters, including but not limited to the current caseload, confidential personnel matters, including but not limited to collective bargaining. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. The length of the private session is estimated to be approximately 60 minutes, after which the board shall reconvene and proceed with business at 7 p.m. Action may be taken. Motion?
Motion, Peters.
I'll second. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our January 19th, 2023 school board meeting. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to our student representatives to give their reports.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. My name is Jimmy Tom Riddle, and I'm the senior class president.
Hi, I'm Hannah Miller, and I'm the executive board president. Freshman news. The freshman class held a fundraiser at Chipotle on January 10th. The freshman class will be holding a Candygram event in February. Sophomore news. Lawn signs were sold for the winter season. Graduation and spring sport lawn signs are going to happen later on in the school year. And the sophomore class is also planning graduation flower and t-shirt sales in June.
Junior news, class of 2024. The junior class is holding a Gertrude Hawk fundraiser in March. Senior news, class of 2023. Cap and gown school emails have gone out again with a January 31st deadline of completion. And seniors should always check their school emails daily for any announcements and information.
Executive board news. Battle of the Classes was in December and was a huge success with an overwhelming amount of student participation. The fourth place was the freshman class, third place was the junior class, second place was the sophomore class, and first place was the senior class. Congratulations to the senior class on winning Battle of the Classes. We would like to invite Gianna Baldwin up to the podium.
Unfortunately, Gianna could not make it tonight, but we will still recognize her. The Student Government Association would like to recognize Gianna Baldwin as the unsung hero for the month of January. Gianna is an excellent student and very active in school activities. She is involved with cheer, choir, student government, and is planning on participating in the upcoming spring musical. She constantly participates in class and works extremely hard on her academics. Above all, Gianna is a very sweet and compassionate student. She helps her peers both in school and outside of school. Gianna is a hard worker and she is dedicated to her clubs, schoolwork, and helping her peers. She deserves the Unsung Hero Award for January for all of the hard work she has done and for the work she will do during her time at Lacey Township High School. Congratulations to Gianna Baldwin on being named as the January Unsung Hero. The next SGA meeting will be held on Monday, February 6th at 1:40 p.m. or, well, all are welcome. And that is all for tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice job. Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to our superintendent, Dr. Pereira.
Thank you, President Downey. Welcome to our January board meeting. Can everybody hear me? Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, hard to believe. I just heard caps and gowns. How is that possible?
Yeah.
But it is. School year is going incredibly fast. So far, we are grateful for the good weather. Never, ever, ever say that S word because when I say it, we get a blizzard, so I'm not going to say it. But be on the lookout. We are using new forms of communication for school closures, but we will continue to do our automated calls, post on our website, use the radio stations, but we also have Remind, so we'll be sending out Remind notifications along with Twitter, social media, and things like that. So I just want to let our families know that not a whole lot has changed other than us adding different ways that we communicate. All right, we have a lot of presentations tonight. I am going to change the order of things a bit, Mr. King, and I am going to invite the principal of Cedar Creek School, Mrs. Holly Nemec, for a special presentation and recognition of one of our staff members. Mr. Carter, we've been trying to do this for a few months now, so I'm glad you're here tonight. All right, turning it over to you.
Noted.
So thank you for honoring our request to go first. Mr. Carter's son has a basketball game tonight that he's got to get to, so we'd like to make sure that he gets there. So we are thrilled to recognize Mr. Carter this evening for the distinguished honor of being named as a recipient of the 2022 Staples Thank a Teacher Award. So this is a very exciting accomplishment for Mr. Carter. So I'd like to congratulate him along with his family for this esteemed honor. I was going to say if your family could stand, but they're not here.
They're at the basketball game.
So Mr. Carter was selected alongside 19 other educators. I said 19, that's 19, across the whole country.
Wow.
So there were only 20 educators that were recognized for this. So not only was he one of 20, but he earned the grand prize of a $5,000 gift card to Staples for Cedar Creek, which we're really excited about. So for those of you who don't know Mr. Carter, when you walk into his classroom, it's easy to see why somebody nominated him. I'm surprised people didn't nominate everybody in our district, but really it's easy to see. So he teaches 4th grade at Cedar Creek, and he brings learning to life. Now, it's also supplemented by the wonderful animals that he has in his classroom. If you happen to see, I know, look, we've got some students here cheering for him. We also have some members of Cedar Creek here to support. So he has 2 snakes now, right? A bearded dragon, and a tarantula, which I tell him all the time I can't go near that, right? I see Colton. He brings learning to life by having a lot of laughter in his classroom. Also, he builds high-interest lessons, and one of the central themes in his classroom is building connections. So at the core of his classroom are building interactions and building relationships with his students and their families. So he takes time to get to know each student and their interests, and he brings that into lessons for them. He highlights their strengths, and he really, really focuses on how much progress they've made. So he does it with the student and with the staff. So as a winner, he was featured in an article on staplesconnect.com. So a parent nominated him, and the parent wrote, "He built my child's self-esteem in school by coming out to his basketball games. He really went above and beyond. His passion and dedication to seeing children excel are only one of the many attributes that make Mr. Carter an amazing educator. I don't know if you're familiar with Rita Pearson and her TED Talk. It's a wonderful TED Talk. It's called Every Kid Deserves a Champion. She said, "Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection," which is what Mr. Carter does, "and insists they become the best they can possibly be." Well, I have to say, Mr. Carter, we would like to thank you for being a champion for our students.
Picture, yes. Let's do a picture. Mr. Zelinski. Mr. Zelinski has pictures duty. Yeah, please do.
Before Mr. Carter leaves, could I have all the students and parents that are here representing Mr. Carter? Could you stand up and give him a nice round of applause? I see a lot of you up there, so.
Good job, congrats.
Some Cedar Creek teachers here too, supporting Mr. Carter. So congratulations to Mr. Carter. We actually featured the Staples article in both Cedar Creek's newsletter, and then I did a newsletter as well, and we featured him. So that's a huge recognition, and I'm sure we can use $5,000 in a Staples gift card. Have we used it already? No, we're carefully planning. Okay, good. So congratulations to Mr. Carter, his family. Also congratulations to our unsung hero. We'll make sure that Gianna gets that plaque, right, Mr. King? Yes. Okay. So I'm now going to turn it over to you for our Seniors of the Month, and I think we have some Eagle Scouts we're recognizing, right? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I want a special welcome to Mrs. Armato and Mr. Kennedy. Welcome to the board. I hope your time here is filled with passion, teamwork, and commitment. We do appreciate it. Tonight we have our Seniors of the Month for January. Very excited about that, and we have some Eagle Scouts to celebrate. Our first Senior of the Month, please come on down, Genevieve Biggs. Genevieve, where are you at? Come on down. While she comes down, a round of applause for our family here. All right, we're going to watch a short video on some of her accomplishments.
Hello. We're here to celebrate the January Seniors of the Month. Our first Senior of the Month is Genevieve Biggs.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Biggs, and I'm proud to be named January Senior of the Month at Lacey Township High School.
When I think back to AP Language class last year and some of the memories I have, I think about the first day of school, and we had a conversation after class about how worried you were, whether you were going to be able to be successful in the class. And I assured you that I thought it would be okay. You worked very hard. You never gave up. You rewrote. You asked for help when you needed it.
At Lacey, I'm a part of the varsity girls tennis team, and I'm Sergeant at Arms and Quartermaster for NHS.
A story doesn't come to mind. However, Genevieve was never allowed in my third grade class because she was told she'd have too much fun. But however, a story does come to mind. She is the littlest Biggs, and she went home one day and said, "Mom, the teacher called me a moron," meaning she was the oxymoron, the littlest Biggs.
Some of my favorite memories from high school are probably the football games, school dances, and probably just hanging out with my friends and socializing during the school day.
Fast forward to July, the AP scores come in, and Genevieve scores a 5. Now, I wasn't at all surprised, and I think that you may have been surprised, but that score was a direct result of your hard work, your diligence, your willingness to ask for help when you thought you needed it. And those characteristics are going to take you very, very far in life.
Outside of school in my free time, I like to read and I go to the gym, and I just like to hang out with my friends in general.
Genevieve's hard work, determination, and involvement within school activities in and around the school community make her such a deserving candidate for this award.
I am so proud. Everyone is so proud of you. I hope that you're as proud of yourself. for all the achievements that everything that you've accomplished, in high school, in Lacey High School.
In the future, after high school, I plan to move on to a 4-year college or university for something in business or psychology.
Congratulations, Genevieve. I know you'll do big things in life. I can't wait to see what university you choose and how far you go in the future.
Congratulations. All right, our next senior of the month is Matthew Kuhn. Matt, come on down. A round of applause for his family who is in attendance this evening as well. All right, watch a short video on his accomplishments next.
Congratulations, Genevieve. Our next senior of the month is senior Matt Kuhn.
I'm Matt Kuhn, and I'm proud to be January's Senior of the Month.
What's up, Lacey Township? Coach Bonatatis here. I'm going to congratulate Matt Kuhn on earning Senior of the Month.
When I think of what it means to be a Lacey Lion, I think of Matthew Kuhn, somebody who's dedicated to his craft inside of the classroom and outside on the playing field and on the wrestling mat.
So some of the clubs I do at LTHS are I'm on the wrestling team and I played football, both for 4 years.
So some qualities or assets that set Matt Kuhn apart from the rest of the student population or some of the other student athletes on my wrestling team are just his work ethic, his maturity level, his resilience.
Some of my favorite memories during high school are definitely probably beating Central in football for my senior and junior year, and probably going to states for wrestling, and wrestling in Atlantic City. That was pretty cool.
Think about all the advancements he's made in the classroom as a student first and an athlete second. And that's what sets Matt apart from the rest of his peers, is his commitment to excellence and doing the best that he can in the classroom and on the sports field and on the wrestling mat.
So outside of school, I like to hang out with my friends and my girlfriend and play with my dog Boomer.
It's always a benefit to a coach, or it's always a good thing when a student athlete comes to your program already raised with the similar morals and values that you are trying to instill in your athletes. Matt Kuhn is cut from that cloth. He has a great set of parents that have done a great job raising their children.
So my plans after high school are I applied to the Naval Academy, so hopefully I get in there, and I was being recruited to wrestle for them, so hopefully I wrestle for them for 4 years, and once I get out, become an officer in the Navy, and hopefully have a good military career after that.
Once again, congratulations to Matthew Kuhn on winning Senior of the Month. We wish you nothing but happiness and success in your future endeavors. And if you decide to play baseball this spring, I've got a jersey with your name on it and a starting spot for you in the lineup. Best of luck, kid.
Congratulations, Matt. All right. Our vocational student of the month for January is Robert Bammer. Robert, come on down. Round of applause for his family as well. All right, watch a short video on his accomplishment text.
And finally, our vocational student of the month for January is Robert Bammer.
I'm Robert Bammer, and I'm proud to be named January's Senior of the Month at Lacey Township High School.
Congratulations, Robert Bammer, on being recognized as Senior of the Month. It's nice to see hardworking students recognized for their effort.
Here at Lacey, I'm part of Lacey's bowling team.
I remember when you were in engineering and design, you were always driven by the why and the how, and that hasn't changed. As you've grown up and actually matriculated through high school, you are still driven by the why and the how. And that right there is the biggest part of your success.
Some of my favorite memories here at Lacey is going to the Friday Night Light football games and being part of a team.
Robert was a welcome presence in a class that rarely exceeded 7 students. And because the class was so small, I got to know Robert pretty well. That relationship allowed us to maintain familiarity in the hallways for the next 2 years after, and Robert's always been a smiling face and ready with a quick joke or comment, and it's been really nice getting to know Robert on a personal level.
Outside of school, I like to be doing fishing. I like to ride freestyle BMX, and I like to bowl outside of school also.
You aren't settling for what's next. You're never going to be the person who settles for just okay. You're always going to be the person who settles for this is exactly what I'm looking for. And that's why I loved having you in class.
My future plans after high school is to go to college and be in a major of mechanical engineering.
So again, congratulations, Robert. You truly deserve the Senior of the Month honors. I know that your work ethic and your ability to deal with stress and obstacles will help you succeed in the future. Congratulations.
All right, and congratulations to all our Seniors of the Month this month. Once again, I am proud to announce we have a few Eagle Scouts this month. As a review of what the Eagle Scout Awards are, Eagle Scout is the highest rank one can achieve in the Boy Scouts of America. To earn the Eagle Scout honor, you have to earn 21 merit badges, including badges in all of these categories: first aid, citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, citizenship in the world, communications, cooking, environmental science, personal fitness, camping, family life, personal management, emergency preparedness or life-saving, cycling, hiking, or swimming, among other badges. You must also serve 6 months in a troop leadership position, plan, develop, and give leadership to a service project for any religious organization or any school or community organization, take part in a Scoutmaster conference, and finally, most importantly, successfully complete an Eagle Scout Board of Review. I am proud to say we have 2 Eagle Scouts in attendance this evening who have accomplished all of those goals. Our first Eagle Scout is Ethan Payne. Ethan, come on up. A round of applause for his family, who's also here in attendance. Ethan took time out of his day and effort and energy to build benches and put up netting to protect baby birds in the high school courtyards. That was his service project. All right, so we're very proud of him and in all of his accomplishments. So again, Ethan, congratulations on doing all those things. You get your award. Dr. Pereira, Ms. Downing, nice job. Good job. Our next Eagle Scout this evening to celebrate is Christopher Frendick. Christopher, come on up. His family's in attendance as well, so a round of applause for them. They certainly put the time and effort in as well. Christopher's project was a school project at Cedar Creek where he built an outdoor chessboard. He put the effort and energy putting the board together so students can enjoy chess at any time while they're outside for recess and other activities. So again, congratulations, Christopher. Nice job, all right? You get your letter. Oh, yeah. Yep, come on down with your families. Time to celebrate. Stand up. Be ready.
Congratulations.
All right, Dr. Burr, that concludes my portion of the show. All right.
I saw her name somewhere else. Through somebody, maybe not. Maybe Ryan. No. 11th grade.
All right, one more round of applause for all of our students tonight. All right, so we're going to transition now to our staff members of the month, and I say it every month that behind every successful student is an amazing teacher or staff member who helped them get there. So we have 2 staff members of the month. I'm going to do a little reading, but I am going to ask Mrs. York and Mr. Norton to come on down so that you could be on camera while I read. There's a reason I'm bringing you up both at the same time. We'll see in a minute. So I'm going to read a little bit about Mrs. York, who was nominated by several of her colleagues, and they have this to say about her. Allie plans and carries out some of Lacey Township High School's most intricate and celebrated events. Her dedication to detail ensures that students have opportunities to enjoy major milestone moments while improving the school climate. Students attest to Mrs. York's classroom inclusiveness, where she provides an environment that provides opportunities for students to have the most success possible. Allie is integral to the success of our school district, and oftentimes it goes unnoticed as she would much rather her students celebrate their success than celebrate the fact that she motivated them to achieve it. For these reasons and so many more, we extend tremendous congratulations to Mrs. York for Staff Member of the Month. Don't run away. Stay right there. Okay, and our second staff member of the month is Officer Nick Norton, who was nominated by Mrs. DiPaolo. But I suspect that she is not alone in recognizing the significant role that Nick plays at Lacey Township High School. While Nick has only been with us since September, his engagement with the students and staff is super impressive. One would think that he's been with us for years, and I just witnessed it this morning. I was walking down the hall, and every single student, "Hi, Officer Nick," they all know you by first name. It's amazing. So thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for just embedding yourself into our community. I know that many, many people would have nominated you, but Mrs. DiPaolo stepped up for that recognition. So congratulations to you. Very, very well deserved. All right, and like we do every month, we do have a video to show. Have you seen the video?
I was part of the video. Yes.
Oh, okay. Great.
It was like the birthday that they come to you like teach you at Friday.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was like.
All right, all right, Mr. Lytle.
My job.
All right, everyone, here we are again for celebrating another staff member of the month. We're here at the high school. I know you've seen me before. Let's go do our thing. Hello. May I have everyone's attention, please? I have an announcement to make. Each month, the district picks staff members to honor and recognize. I am happy to announce January's staff member of the month, Mrs. York. Right?
This is a very surprising honor.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But there's more.
Oh.
You're not alone. Remember, this is district-wide, so any school can be chosen.
Okay, who else are we ambushing?
They chose 2 from the high school this year, this month. Our next staff member of the month for January, Mr. Norton.
I'm shocked. Why, it was a practical joke.
Not at all. Well deserved. Congratulations, everyone.
Hey,
Nice
people,
job.
we're in good company. We have each other.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Lacey. I nominated Mr. Norton for Staff Member of the Month, and Mrs. York was also nominated for Staff Member of the Month. I nominated Mr. Norton because, Mr. Norton, you've made a huge impact since you've been here. I watch you every single day, and so do all my colleagues, where you check all the doors for safety. You have an amazing rapport with the students. You go above and beyond to help the student government when we're selling tickets. You go above and beyond just every day, and it's just very, very noticeable. And I just want to say a big thank you to you. Mrs. York, you were nominated because, let's face it, you are Lacey Township High School. You run all the events. You are an amazing person. You're always super duper helpful and approachable by staff and students and administration. And you pretty much run the show here. So thank you so much, Mrs. York.
I have to say, it sounds much better in an English accent. Yeah. All right, Mr. Light, are we ready for the Lacey Minute? All right. And once again, thank you to Mr. Merman for the Lacey 3-minute. It's not the Lacey Minute anymore. We're going to have to rename that.
Am I next?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm not next.
Oh, you are next.
I am.
Yeah,
Those-
so I was going to intro the Start Strong assessments. Just okay, so before I turn it over to Mr. Zielinski, another round of applause to all of our students and to our staff members of the month. And This is the time where we usually say to our students and any staff members, I know you have to get up super early, probably have homework, so if you'd like to scoot, it's okay. If you'd like to stay, we'd love to have you, but we'll give you a few minutes.
Congratulations.
Don't worry, I don't feel bad. I'm used to it. I'm actually breathing. I'm missing a quick presentation.
Thank you.
Good night. You're welcome. Congratulations. Good night. Nice job tonight.
Have a good night. Take care. Good night. See you, buddy. Good job. Take care. See you next month.
Okay, back in the fall, Mr. Zielinski presented the student achievement report. That was based on the New Jersey student learning assessments that were administered last spring. So tonight, he is going to present the results of the Start Strong assessments that were administered at the beginning of the school year. They are relatively new and directly in response to the loss of learning that occurred during the COVID pandemic. So we just got those results. There is some question about whether those Start Strong assessments are going to continue. There have been a lot of articles out in the news lately because there is such a thing as over-testing, and that's not what we want to do. Unfortunately, with the Start Strong assessments, we don't have that option, and so they are developed by the Department of Education. And right now, all school districts in New Jersey are required to administer them. We'll see where they go in the future, but he's going to present those results, which are going to be available on our website starting tomorrow, or by the end of the week. Tomorrow was the end of the week.
So, very good. Thank you, Dr. Ferrer. The Start Strong tests were given in the fall. There is some controversy over why are we giving another test when we just gave a test. Welcome to the state of New Jersey. That's certainly what we have to do. That the state tells us to do. This is a very brief showing of our Start Strong results, which we received like this as a district in late December, actually probably the day before the break. Our teachers have had them for some time. An individual student reports were mailed home to parents probably a week ago. So parents got their individual student results. These are the aggregated and disaggregated results. We, as a compliance thing, are required to present them. I'm going to do it very briefly tonight. These will be posted on our assessments page, and you can look at them in more depth. Some of it you won't be able to read very well tonight. I'm going to move rather quickly because these results very closely resemble our NJSLA results. So if you've listened to me in October when I presented those results, these are pretty much a carbon copy of those results. That's why, as Dr. Ferrer indicated, there's some question as to why are we testing them again. The original impetus of the Start Strong exam was they really wanted to measure at a time when the state was not doing state tests. Now we're back to doing state tests. So the wonderment is why are we doing another round that we're seeing the results are very much the same as what I presented to you in October. There are obviously some things here, as you look at them briefly tonight, that we've been working on. So it's kind of a weird presentation we're going to make tonight. I'm going to show you what it looked like in September 1st, basically. It's not what the district should be looking like now. That would much more closely resemble our NWEA results, which we give from grades K to 10 in our district. And those results, we haven't closed that window yet. We're still working on that. We usually talk about those results after the springtime administration, and I show them to you as an interested public in October of next year. And those results are much more useful to us because we're looking at how the students have done from September to now early January, and we can see have they met grade level performance, have they met their expectations, their grade level, their improvement expectations. That's much more useful to us than these. This is just simply I'm showing it there. All right, so Tom, if you just go to the first slide, and it's how the state releases them. Actually, I actually believe their releases are getting a little bit better. So if you do go to the website, and you do want to look at these, this is as a district. ELA was given grades 4 to 9, and then math was given grades 4 to 9, and then we gave exams for the Algebra 1 kids, Algebra 2 kids, and Geometry kids, and there were a lot less of them than we did in there. What you're trying to see here is a lot of dark color. That means that the students needed less support. So the left column is ELA, the middle column is math, the right column is science. Generally speaking, as we looked at these results back in September, October, we were very interested in the light colored, were the students that really needed a lot of support. The NJSLA was very similar in our science results. We talked about science. We talked about how we stopped doing our group labs. We have a very experiential science program. We're hoping that those results will turn around. When we get the next science results for the grades that take it, you'll see that math had more work to be done than ELA. What I try to do in all of these slides is take the kids who needed some help, the kids who didn't need a lot of help, add those together. I think that painted a better picture of our district than other things. But we're very concerned with science, looking at 48% of students needing a lot of help. Math was 43% as a district, and then ELA was 30%. So the different subject areas were different. And if you start talking to educators, and there's some in the room here, you think about ELA, where parents can help their kids read, math not so much, and science not so much. So you're going to see some differences coming off of a pandemic, coming off of time at home. We're hoping that this is a good year to improve these results. That's why I do believe, actually, with Dr. Burrow said, I do believe we're going to see one more round to start strong next fall, because they do want to do some comparison results of pre and post-pandemic. So I think we're going to see it one more time in September. I actually believe that. Next slide, please, Mr. Lytle. And then we have by grade. Okay, I'll post these up as well. You can see by each grade, the darker colors, of course, are better, and the lighter colors are worse. Grade 7 math, you can see being some of the lightest colors in grade 6 math, and you can see grade 4 math being a lot more dark color. You know, when you see all that light color, that's where we have a lot of concern. Again, I'm trying to add those two together. Students that need some help, don't need a lot of help, but you're really concerned with the kids who need the most help, which is your lightest color. If you see 9 students or fewer, it means we didn't test in that grade. Okay, that's all that means. It's just how the state put it. They didn't put no tests. Don't ask me why. All right, next slide, Tom. And then we go through the other grades. A1, A2, G1 is Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry on the math side. You'll see that, and we didn't do grade 11 or beyond for ELA. Okay, next. All right, then we did it by demographic. This is the same slide you just saw. It's just repeated. You go to the next slide, Tom. You can actually see how we did demographically. This is the most interesting part to me, because if you look at the demographics, that is the area where if you were trying to increase the darker color, in some cases, if you concentrated on a demographic, and I'll give you the example, you could say that's where we missed it. And that would be last year if I say we missed something or we missed a group. Interesting to note here, ELA, males get outperformed by females by 9% in the darkest of the color. Males outperform females by 1% in math. When you look at that, and then science, the males outperform females by 7%. So some interesting demographics there as our teachers are when we discover these results, look at these results, and of course we're really looking at individual results. And then we get into the various ethnicities. You can go to the next slide, Tom. And you can go and cover those. Of course, all of them are interesting to us. Students with IEPs don't do as well as non-IEP students. 504 kids do a little bit better. Very interesting, and I never saw this before. It's the first time. We have current ELL students. That would be students that speak another language. And then if you go to the next slide, it has former ELL students. So of course, we're looking for better results with the former students, and we did. Better results there. And then the last one, of course, which is not a surprise to anybody, students that are economically disadvantaged do worse than students who have money. So that has our concern. We make sure we concentrate on those areas. We'll post these up. I'll answer any questions here briefly if anybody has any about these results. Like I said, these are September results. We've been looking at these for 6 months. We just got them, let's call it in the mail, and we are required to report in a public board session. Board members, of course, will call me when they have questions, and we'll post these up on our website. And we'll post the presentation as well. Good? No more questions? That's a compliance thing, but that's it for me tonight. I'll break.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zelinski. Okay, Mrs. Downing, that concludes my comments tonight.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open the floor now to public comments. An audience member wishing to make a comment will raise his or her hand, and when called upon, state their name, address, or affiliation, and intention to make a statement. Comments will be addressed to the board president. Comments will be made one issue at a time. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes. No audience member shall be recognized twice until all who have wished to comment have been recognized. Remember, this portion of the meeting is for public comments only. This is a board business meeting, so any questions that can go through the chain of command could be answered during the school day, but anything that the superintendent can answer now, we will. But this is a business meeting, so when you come up with comments, make sure it has something to do with business. How's that? Are there any comments, or anyone in the public that want to make comments? Seeing none? I don't have my glasses on. Let's make sure.
We're watching for you, Mrs. Downing.
None, okay. There is one? Oh, you're laughing? Yeah. Okay. So now we'll move on to board comments. Could we start down on my right? Mr.
Comments or
Kennedy?
committee reports, Mrs. Downing?
Oh, committee reports?
Take your glasses off.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, board committee reports, I'm sorry. You want to start, Mr. Polino, with
Oh,
finance?
sure, finance? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm reading my minutes off my phone, so excuse me, it's a little. Oh, here somewhere. Hold on, give me a second. I just closed it. Okay, so the finance committee, myself, Mrs. Downing, Mrs. Claus, Dr. Pereira, Ms. Sylvia, met on January 17th. We had a guest at our committee meeting, Senator Chris Connors, our local senator. So we spoke with Senator Connors about the lack of stabilization aid. And just to let the public know, last year we were awarded about $2.6 million in state stabilization aid. Our application went in this year and we only got $200,000. So we spoke to the senator. He shares our concerns. You know, it all boils down to, you know, he's very receptive. He's going to write a letter on our behalf, as he's done in the past. But it boils down to, you know, we're a Republican county in a Democratic state, and it's kind of how the chips fell if you look across the state. So we can't go back and resubmit or do anything. So we have to take what we got and be happy with it and move on from there. And it really hurt us for this year and the upcoming budget year. So with that, Mrs. Sylvia went over some things with the SDA Emergent and Capital Maintenance Needs Grant. She updated us on that. We're still waiting for approval from the state on the spending plan for this grant. Our children's, securing our children's fund bond grant. We're updated on this. Is still waiting for the state, again, on the spending plan for that. The ROD grant that we were, the last couple of meetings we've spoken about. Mrs. Sylvia updated the committee on this. The application for the ROD grant has not been opened up yet, so once it's open, we will certainly apply for that grant. This grant that we're applying for is for projects within the school district. The thing about this grant is, if we do get the grant, any project that we list under this grant, we have to pay for 100% up front, and then the state will reimburse 40% of it. So we have to be very particular on what projects we're going to do if we get this grant. The HVAC grant, Ms. Sylvia updated us on that. We're working with the architect on the application. We had a couple Jace controllers at the Lenoka Harbor and Cedar Creek School that had to be replaced. The Jace controllers are a computer module that regulates the flow of our air conditioning, our heating, and so forth. We did replace one. Ms. Sylvia, is that the high school a couple months ago?
Yes.
Yeah, so these had to be replaced. They were at the cost of $25,000 apiece, I believe. Am I correct on that? Was that, Sylvia, about $25,000 each there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So they had to be replaced. We had to have that done. We spoke about Synergistics, so that contract was signed by myself. At the end of the year, we had the kickoff meeting with them. We're doing a job description for our energy specialist. It'll be put out soon for the energy specialist. And there are a couple former energy specialists that live within our area that might be interested. So we're looking forward to that with Synergistic. The grant committee is working feverishly. It's spearheaded by our Assistant Business Administrator, Mr. Padell. Along with that is Mr. Brewer, Ms. Cellini, and Mr. Sabocco. I believe they're working on 3 or 4 grants as we speak. Something else that came up is the Donor's Choice site. This was presented to us by Mrs. DeSenza, actually. This site, donorschoice.org, it's basically teachers can go onto this site, they can propose a project and ask for public's help in funding the project. It's almost like a GoFundMe page. So Dr. Pereira is going to set some parameters with that, and then we're hoping to get that launched. There was talk about doing a November ballot question for a tax levy increase because of what we're facing down in our budget, but the committee decided that it's just not a good thing to be doing at this time. So that is no further discussion at this point. We talked about tuition rates for non-resident students. We've, for years, been charging $7,500 for our non-resident students, so we increased to $7,750. We also put out an RFP for a new auditor. Only one bid came back for almost $60,000. We right now pay $30,000 for an auditor, so the committee agreed to put it out for a rebid. We talked about the STEM project bid for the STEM wing of the high school to have that redone. The original bid was like $1.2 million that we put in for, and the lowest bid came back at $667,000. So we're accepting that bid tonight, and we're pretty pleased by the fact that we're going to save a lot of money there. Food services, we discussed. Our director of food services would like to put some cameras in the cafeterias, and there's certainly enough funds within the food service budget to do that. So there's going to place some cameras in the cafeterias of all the schools. We talked about our energies specialists. Transportation, we're coming off a 5-year lease purchase for some buses. We do have 2 buses that have to be retired. I don't recall, do we have any van buses that have to be retired? Or no? Just 2 regular buses.
Yes.
Because we're looking at doing in the fall with the grant full-day pre-K, our director of transportation would like to get a couple extra buses if we can, because we're going to have more children to bus. But financially, we just, our lease purchase was $92,000. We were paying a year for 5 years. So we asked Mrs. Sylvia to look into a longer lease term of this, maybe a 7-year, and we can get down to what we were paying now and get the 2 buses and a van that we most desperately are going to need. The use of facilities, which is going to be approved tonight, was discussed. That's it as far as with discussion, but, one thing that, the budget's underway, and not a surprise. I mean, the rate stabilization aid hurt us immensely. We're staring down probably somewhere close to a $4 million deficit for the 23-24 school year. So we're going to have a lot of work to do and a lot of things to look at. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions or comments for Mr. Polino and the Finance Committee?
Don't we already have cameras in some of the, I know the middle school has cameras in the lunchroom, don't they?
In the cafeteria itself. I think they want to put it.
These are going to be placed by the registers?
Near the
Oh,
registers.
okay.
Yeah, so they want to buy the registers, and there's been instances where parents have claimed that, the families are being charged for food purchase, and the families are saying their children are not buying lunch, when in fact they are, but they're saying they're not. So it's just kind of that and other things there. So, and again, it's not coming out of the budgeted amount, it's his budget, so.
One more thing, Mr. Polino. What
Yes,
is
sir.
this Camden Education Services Commission thing that we're purchasing the cameras from?
It's one of the co-ops that we're involved with,
We're involved in a co-op with Camden County?
yes.
Okay.
We're involved in Hunterdon County, Camden County, Essex County, there's Monmouth Ocean.
Yeah, and pretty much everything that we purchase goes through, it's run through the co-op. So, you know, and it's pretty much the lowest bidding is done for us through these co-ops, and that's why we purchase through them.
You'll see all those on the June agenda when we do the large agenda with all the approvals of the different.
All right, thank you.
Mrs. Sylvia, you wanted to make a
I just
comment?
wanted to make one comment. When Mr. Polino was talking about the stabilization aid from last year, we actually only got 1.3 in stabilization aid last year. The additional 1.3 was education rescue grant funds. So I just wanted to.
Oh, thank you for that correction, but the
Just
state
correct
pulled
that.
back, they took back 1.3 million from us again, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
right. We were only supposed to be reduced 2 million in this year's budget, and they reduced us by 3.2 million. So that's what we had requested in the stabilization aid application this year, and we only were awarded the 200,000.
And to credit Mrs. Sylvia for the 200,000, she put in there for transportation or something, she threw a number in there for that. And I get the feeling that if she didn't do that, they wouldn't have given us anything. So we were fortunate to get 200,000.
Thank you. Okay, no more questions? Okay.
Okay.
Mrs.
Well, so I just wanted to make it aware that I had spoke about the food services. Last year, we had some issues. Some parents came and talked about improving the food services. Excuse my voice, I have laryngitis. And so I brought it to the attention that I'd like to look at some outsources of food servicing. And do you want me to mention the names of them or just? Okay. So just to bring it to your attention.
So, Mr. Polino, can
Yes.
we add that to finance? Just again,
Yes, so
have a
I did speak to
discussion?
Mrs. Armato about that previously, that she did send it to us, and it was brought up. It was not on our finance agenda this month, because it was brought up the day before, so it'll be something that we will have on the agenda for the upcoming meeting, and we'll get some, I'll ask Ms. Sylvia to pull up some information about it, so we could discuss it further at the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Claus, policy?
Yes, okay, it was myself, Cheryl Armato, Jack Conity, Dr. Pereira, and Ms. Sylvia attended. We have some new policies and regulations and some revisions. Policy 0155, Board Committees. The committee discussed revisions to Policy 0155 and added a new Facilities Committee to the existing list of board committees. We're also going to add Safety and Security under that committee. Policy 0164, Conduct of Board Meeting. The committee discussed the possibility of revising this policy to add board unfinished business to the board meeting outline. The committee will continue to discuss this revision after getting more input from the full board. So we're just going to table that for now. Policy 2415.04, Title I District-Wide Parent-Family Engagement, and Policy 2415.50, Title I School Parent and Family Engagement. The school districts receive Title I. For the school districts to receive Title I, Part A funds are required to have parent and family engagement policy. Policy Guide 2415.04 has been rewritten and should replace the district's existing policy 2415.04, and the new school policy 2415.50 should be developed and adopted for each of the school districts. Policy 3270, Professional Responsibilities and Regulation 3270, Lesson Plans and Plan Books. The Policy and Regulation Guide 3270 have been updated to reflect current best practices in education. The Policy and Regulation Guides are not mandated, but is recommended by the Board of Education to adopt a professional responsibility policy and regulation to assist the school districts in developing procedures for teaching staff members, lesson plans, and plan books. Regulation 3212, Professional Staff Attendance Review and Improvement Plan and Policy, and 4212, Attendance, were revised to update the language to correlate with the contract between the LTEA and Lacey Township Board of Ed as it pertains to providing doctor's notes for unexcused absences. Regulation 3432 and 4432 for sick leave They were revised to correct outdated language. Nothing for co-curricular. Safety and security, New Jersey State Police security visit. Dr. Pereira led a discussion about security visit with the New Jersey State Police members members of the Lacey Police Department and the district security management team. LTASA, no items there. And then the workshop that's coming up, we discussed scheduling a second workshop meeting in early February. And that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions or?
I do have one question. With regards to this committee, the facility committee, I'm very honored to be on. Can you give me 1, 2, 3 bullet points of what our responsibilities were going to be? Is it to approve gym time and field time, or is it us to police the schools?
Neither.
Okay.
So I'll answer, and maybe Sharon, you can piggyback. So we've had a facilities committee in the past, and really it's the committee just taking a look at all of the different projects that are currently going on, projects that perhaps need to come up. And, you know, if we do start talking referendum, it's to really take a hard look at what portion of our facilities might we include in a referendum if we go in that direction.
Okay.
Anything else you want to
Thank
add?
Preschool if.
Right, and also, we've been talking about the preschool expansion grant, which, you know, and Mr. Zelinski can talk about this for a very long time, but the different modifications that are going to have to be made to many of our buildings to accommodate the preschool expansion grant.
Perfect, thank you.
Anything else, Sharon? No? No, I think that's good.
We good? Anybody else? Good, okay. At this time, superintendent's comments.
I don't have any more.
Have none, okay. Moving on. Board members' comments. Let's start with Mr. Amato, way down on the left.
Well, I'm all about shock and awe, so I have nothing to add tonight, except congratulations to everyone that was recognized this evening.
Okay. Mr. Polino, you want to go next?
Yeah, just congratulations to our award recipients, well-deserving, and congratulations on a job well done. I do have one comment, and it's going to be what we're going to be voting on. This is Facilities Committee. I did discuss my concern about it, separating facilities from finance. Everything comes back to finance, and I understand why President Downing, you did it because of the, splitting it up, because it's going to be time-consuming for one committee to work on the preschool expansion and budgeting and this, that, and the other thing. I understand that, and I know you made it an ad hoc committee under you. I was hesitant to rush into changing a policy to add another committee, and my concern is that it's just another hurdle between progress. So for my fellow board members, something to think about. So everything comes back to finance. If the facilities committee is meeting, they want to look into doing something or having something changed, they have to go back to the finance committee to decide whether or not there's budgeting or funding for it. My concern is if finance meets before facilities, and facilities wants to do something, they have to wait a whole month for the finance committee to sit and meet again. And that's my hesitation on keeping this committee as a permanent committee, but I understand why you're doing it as an ad hoc. So I just ask my fellow board members to think about that, and maybe not approving a first read of that tonight, but just let it work as an ad hoc committee for a few months, and we could always go down the road and change it. Because then if we change it now, and then we want to change it again, it's more readings and more change and more paperwork. So I think the ad hoc works fine. I have no problems with the fact that they have a separate committee for that, but I think it's just another hurdle in progress, and there could be that issue between there. So other than that, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Conity.
Yeah, congratulations to all the recipients. That's pretty much it. Looking forward to another, or 3 years. First 3 years, so thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Amato.
Just congratulations to all who had won awards tonight, and that's all.
Okay, Mrs. Klaus.
Yes, so we had a listen and learn last week, and this is the second one that I've attended where there's only been one person from the public that came. So this would be a great opportunity for the people out there that want to actually have a back and forth conversation of your concerns. So the next listen and learn, I think, is are we keeping the one in January? or February? When's it?
Well, there is one Monday with the PTC presidents.
Okay.
I'll
So
be
to the
reaching
public.
out to them to bring a friend.
Oh, yeah.
To maybe expand that a little
All
bit,
right.
but then, yeah, I believe there's one in March. I
Okay,
have to
so
look up the
please
date.
come, and it'll be more of a back and forth instead of just a comment. We would love to hear that. I just want to touch on what Ms. Armato was requesting for the next meeting for the Facilities and Finance, to just look at avenues to outsource cafeteria duties. I have to say, I am, and we spoke about this in the meeting, but just not for outsourcing anything in our district. If we start with the kitchen services, it's going to progress to the busing. That's not who we are. I feel like we're a hometown. We need to support our people here and keep them here. So, you know, we can, I feel if we need to improve what we have, then let's improve it and let's dive into that. But I would never support outsourcing for the kitchen or busing. So I just wanted to say that in my statement, and that's all. Thank you.
Linda, can I comment to that or not? Sure, go ahead.
Okay, just for the record, I'd like to state, I've done some research on this, and it would not mean anything to the people that currently work in that position. We would put in the contract that all of those employees maintain their positions. It would improve the food. Several school districts locally and in North Jersey currently use some of the things I have in mind. With great success, the staff loves the food, the students love the food. So I just say we should have an open mind and we should explore things. It doesn't mean it would lead to anything else unless that would mean it would improve the buses. But if it would improve something in our school, I think it's worth it that we should take some time and explore it before we poo-poo something we don't really know what we're discussing. That's all.
Okay, Skip. Mr. Peters, sorry.
First, I'd like to
Mr.
recognize Mr. Scanlon in the crowd, and I know you're looking at your watch saying, no way, the first year I'm not sitting up there, they're gonna be home by 8:30. My wife's gonna freak out when I walk in and say, what, you lose power? So, hello, Mr. Scanlon, how are you? Thank you for joining us. I like your way you're still involved. You said you were gonna do it, and I'm glad to see your face in the crowd. I'd like to make a public announcement real quick. Chef's Night Out, if anybody's familiar with it or not, it's a fundraiser for the County Vocational School Foundation. It's March 6th. In town at the Lacey Elks. 30 restaurants are going to be there, and you can come there and get a sample. You pay one fee. You go in and go from table to table to table and get a sample from every restaurant. Ton of fun locally in town. It's a Monday night. We can't ask the restaurants to do it during the weekend, obviously, so they're going to come there and set up their food. And if you get a chance, put that on your calendar. Gianna Ball, congratulations, Unsung Hero. February 2nd, we actually honored Bob Bambert, the vocational school unsung hero, or the student of the month. Congratulations, but also February 2nd, if anybody wants to go vocational way, at the Brick Vocational Center from 9 to 1, they're having a career day. We'll have 30 different careers that you can go and observe and check out if anybody wants to go the vocational route. The Staples, Mr. Carter, the Staples Award was amazing. That was awesome. And Nick Norton. I'm looking at this gentleman, and I'm saying, did we just approve this guy like a couple months ago? Then somebody made a comment that it was in September, and I'm like, man, you got Employee of the Month? That's awesome. So I'm just glad that we have people like that in our district, and they're recognized that quickly, and they're jumping in and just, you know, and filling in and going that way. Mr. Polino, as far as Facilities Committee, thank you for your comment. I want to talk about that for a minute. I'm happy that there's a separate Facilities Committee. Number one, I'm going to be the chairperson of it. That's my passion, facilities. But number two, when I was on the Finance/Facilities Committee, when it was paired up together, I found that 90% of the time was on finance and 10% was to facilities, and that was still a 3-hour meeting. So I know we have a separate meeting, it's gonna be a longer meeting, but I think that we need to concentrate more on facilities and separate them. So, and we're allowed to have our differences of opinion, that's part of being a board. But I'm looking forward to having just the Facilities Committee by itself, and maybe you and I can collaborate after each meeting, the finance aspect, once once that meeting is over, to do what we have to do to move forward to make the district a little better. What else? I took a bunch of notes. Oh, Mr. Lewinsky, if possible, thank you for your presentation. on the Start Strong, but if any possible way you could share with the board the 2021 scores, so we can compare them to 2022, I'd appreciate that, because we always want to make sure the district's moving up. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You want to say? No? Okay. My comments will be very short since everybody said everything anyway. I want to congratulate all the recipients tonight. And I also want to acknowledge our CPAG that's sitting up there for their Abilities Fair last night. It was very good. If any of you got to go to that, it was a really good, you had a good turnout, correct? Mr. Bond, where's Mr. You had a good turnout, right? Yeah, it was very well attended, I thought. So congratulations to all of you for being part of that and for organizing it. Seemed like a lot of work, so I was glad I was able to go. And Mrs. Claus was there, and I don't know if any other board members were able to make it, but it was a really good event, so I hope you do. Pardon me?
Thank you for facilitating this 7 year in a row.
You're welcome. Okay, and as far as the committee, the Facilities Committee, the reason I was suggesting to make that a committee, separating it from finance, is for a couple of reasons. One was predominantly, there are 3 committees and there are 7 board members. And I thought with another board committee, it would spread everyone out, so everybody had a chance to be involved with committees and actually get involved with the everyday, what has to be done. There's a lot of things going to happen as far as building rooms and projects, so I just thought it was a good idea to add that. So, you know, whatever the board wants to do, it was just a suggestion, and I think that it was very easy to spread everybody, so everybody gets a part of being part of the board and being involved with committees. So, okay? So let's move on to new business. Could I have a motion for number 1, meeting minutes?
Motion, Peters?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Armato?
Abstain?
Mr. Conity?
Yes for the reorg, abstain on December.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Could I have a motion for number 2, list of bills for January 2023?
Motion.
I'll second.
Who was the first?
Mr. Amato.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes, but I need to abstain on 950-166, 289, 299, and 283-300.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, I need to abstain though on 173251, please.
Thank you. Mrs. Downing?
Yes, but I have abstained on 3 bills, 950927, 950450, and 950460 due to conflict.
Thank you.
Number 3, could I have a motion for budget transfers for the 2022-23 school year?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Can I have a motion for number 4 for S1701 reporting for November 2022?
Motion. Polino.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Now, can we have a motion for items 5 through 14? This is receipt of bids and award of contract, alterations for new STEM labs at Lacey High School, rejection of request for proposal for auditing services, receipt of quotations and award of contract for the annual CDL examinations, change order for HVAC renovations, Camden County Educational Services Commission, cooperative purchase for the cameras.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Second, Conity.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, but no to number 5.
And Mrs. Downing.
Yes. Item number 15, use of facilities. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes on everything except, I have to abstain from anything associated with Lacey Lions, basketball.
Thank you. Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And Mrs. Downing.
Yes. Items 16 and 17, non-resident student tuition and student rates. Motion, please.
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Peters.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes. Items 18 and 19, calendar adoption and job description. Motion, please.
Motion. Polino.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes. Number 20, policies and regulations. Motion, please.
Motion, Peters.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
I'm going to vote no on the first one, 0155, and yes on the rest.
Thank you. Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And Mrs. Downing.
Yes. Items number 21 and 22, HIB.
Motion, Polino.
I'll
Second it.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes to 21, abstain 22.
Thank you. Mr. Conity?
Yes to 21, abstain on 22 as well.
Thank you. Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes. The next item is B, donations, and before I ask for a motion, I want to, Janet, are you Janet? Janet, DeRusso. She's from the Elks, and they have a donation of hats and scarves, and Janet, if I can call you Janet, went around with Mr. Bond and went to all the schools in Lacey Township donating hats and scarves to students that needed them. So thank you very much on behalf of this whole. So now could I have a motion to approve and accept these donations?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Polino?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, and thank you.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes, we really appreciate it. Thank you. C, programs and curriculum. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
I'll second.
Can I have a discussion real quick?
Sure.
Okay, what is, so it shows on the agenda, there's, maybe you can answer this for me, Sharon. Why, is this blank for a reason, or do they all fall under,
They all fall under observation with the teachers that are listed in the middle. So there's more
oh,
observation.
so they're gonna be rotating with
Yeah.
these teachers? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I just didn't know. All right, thank you.
That's the nurses one thing. That's the nurses.
Do we have a motion?
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes. D, professional days and workshops. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes, but I have to abstain on Vanessa Pereira, sorry. I have to abstain due to conflict.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to E, number 1 through 13, certificated personnel.
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes, congratulations to our retirees.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing.
Yes. F, non-certificated personnel, items 1 through 9.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. And do we have a walk-on motion?
Yes, we have a walk-on. So we have a walk-on tonight that's in regards to modifications that were made to the old auto shop area. We want to give you a little history on this subject. So back in 2020, when the district was working with the architect to update the long-range facility plan, we found that the NJDOE didn't have the correct classification for that area as it stands now. The district and the district's architect worked with the DOE, and we submitted an educational specifications for change of use request, as well as an updated long-range facility plan. The district was told at that time that this was all that we needed to do to make this all right. In late December of 2022, we received a call from the NJDOE stating that a complaint was filed in regards to this space. So due to this complaint, the DOE has requested further documentation to finalize the project. So the resolution will read as follows. Authorizing the submission of other capital project documents to the New Jersey Department of Education, auto shop conversion to wrestling room and 2 classrooms at Lacey Township High School. Motion, move that the board approve the authorization of submission of other capital project documents to the New Jersey Department of Education, auto shop conversion to wrestling room and 2 classrooms at Lacey Township High School. Be it further resolved that the district architects, Freytech, Vise, Hopkins, and Duthie, PC, be authorized to submit the above project to the New Jersey Department of Education for approval on the district's behalf. Be it further resolved that the above project be approved as other capital projects as defined in NJAC 6A:26B. The district will not seek state funding for the above project. Be it further resolved that amendments to the long-range facilities plan by Freytech, Vise, Hopkins, and Duthie PC to incorporate the above project be approved. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call. Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Question. Can I have a question real quick before I vote? You noted on there that there was no state funding, but aren't we looking at a ROD grant possibly for that room?
This is for modifications that were already made to the room, so it's done.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other walk-ons?
No, that's it.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:25?
Motion, Peters. We out.
Meeting adjourned.